I forgot to press record, so let's go back really quickly. Make sure that you've put your objectives on page 8 and 9, and today is statistics review, which is on page 10. So statistics review, this is going to be a lot of vocabulary, basically, but the good news is that a lot of it is review. So our statistics review, we've got qualitative data, Qualitative, qualitative data, which is data made up of quantities. Now that's a terrible definition because, again, quantities or qualities and qualities, qualitative qualities, right? They are the same word, basically. So qualitative data is data made up of qualities. An example of that would be shirt color or favorite team, right? So qualitative data, shirt color, favorite team, that's word data. It's things that like can't be put into a calculator to figure out, right? Qualitative data. The opposite, the reverse, is quantitative data. Quantitative, quantitative data, which is data made up of numbers. Right? Qualitative data, data that's made up of numbers, like your age, the number of pages you read in your book last night, the speed you're driving. Numbers, data described in numbers is quantitative, quantity. Qualitative data is quality, is like word data. Your favorite color, what floor your locker is on, right? Even though your locker may be on the second floor, that's a quality, it's a descriptor of where it's located, right? You're not going to put in second floor, second floor, second floor, second floor into your calculator. That's a quality. Whereas quantitative is the number, your locker number, or your the number of books inside your locker, or the number of times you bring your lunch from home versus the number of times you buy it at school. So then we move on to our 5-number summary information. So we're going to lots of times we use a 5-number summary to describe our data. And some of these 5-number summaries can be used for qualitatives, and some of them cannot. It just depends on the way your data looks. So if we have our 5-number summary, the first thing in that is the mean in our 5-number summary. So that's the average, right? They're kind of synonymous. We like to use the word mean in middle school statistics, high school statistics, because it gives a better descriptor of what we're looking for. And the mean is the sum of the data. And sum is important because sum is not just adding it up, but sum is adding it up and getting an answer. The sum of the data divided by the number of data pieces. Again, it is super important that when you are finding the mean, that you add up the data and get an answer. Then that answer, that sum means the answer, is divided by how many pieces of data there are. So that's our first of the 5-number summaries. Then we have our median. And the median is the middle of the data. But it's when the data is in order from least to greatest. Big mistake that students make a lot of the time is that they forget to put their data in order. They just assume that it's going to be already given to you in order, so you need to make sure that it is in order before you start crossing things off. So bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, right, till you meet in the middle. You need to make sure that your data is in order from least to greatest. If there are two values in the middle, find the mean of them. So if there are two numbers in the middle, you've got two numbers, you've got 10 and you've got 15, you're going to find the mean of 10 and 15. The two numbers in the middle, you're going to add them together, get an answer, and since there are two values, you're going to divide by 2. The next in our 5-number summary is called the mode. And the mode is the value that occurs the most. It's the most frequent. So the mode is the number that happens the most times. Now there's a big debate in the statistics world between mathematicians about whether or not you can have more than one mode. Because by definition, mode is the value that occurs the most. So if two things occur the same amount of time, are they really the mode? Well, in middle school, we are going to accept it and say, yes, that's called bimodal. Bi meaning that there are two modes. And that's the two values that occur the most. All right, so we have our 5-number summary, we have mean, we have median, we have mode. The next of our 5-number summary is the minimum. Oops, M-I-N-I-M-U-M. I'll fix that for you. And the minimum, you know this vocabulary word by now, is the data with the least value is the minimum. So the opposite of the minimum is going to be the maximum, which is the data with the greatest value. So hopefully these 5 vocabulary terms are going to be vocabulary terms that you already know, right? They shouldn't be shocking to you. And that's our 5-number summary. However, now that we're moving on to higher level algebraic thinking, we're going to change our 5-number summary. We're going to talk about our 5-number summary, and the mean doesn't get included in our 5-number summary. If they're asking you to do a 5-number summary now that you're in algebra, the mean is not included. You have to find that separately. The mean, the average, is a data set that we use typically, but that's going to be something that we talk about later on. It's not included in our data analysis. We do use the median in our 5-number summary. We don't use the mode in our 5-number summary because that 5-number summary, they're going to ask you about that later. So the 5-number summary, now that you're in algebra, is the median, is the minimum, is the maximum, and here come our 2 relatively new, but probably a review, our 2 new pieces to make up our 5-number summary. So now in algebra, our 5-number summary changes. It's the median, it's the minimum, it's the maximum, it's the lower quartile, and the lower quartile is the median below the median. And then we will have the upper quartile, which will be So the lower quartile is the median below the median, and the upper quartile is the median above the median. So those two are the two new 5-number summary pieces of data. You still are occasionally going to have to find the mode. So you need to know how to do that. And you're still going to be asked to find the mean. So you need to know how to do those. But the 5-number summary that we're going to be using in our statistical analysis is the median, the minimum, the maximum, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. You will still, again, have to know what the mean is. It's just not included in that new definition of a 5-number summary. So let's try some data. I'm going to be kind to you and give it to you in order just because that saves us a little bit of time. But if I give you a data set of 3, 4, 6, 8, 8, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 9, 12, 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, I'm going to add a 2 down here. So that's our data set. If you're going to do a typical 5-number summary, that means the median the minimum, the maximum, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. Here we go. So the median, again, is the middle piece of data. It's already in order. I was very kind to you. Remember, that will not always happen. But we cross out one from each side until we get to the middle. There are 2 values in the middle. Since they are the same value, it's really nice. I don't really have to do anything. I would add them together. 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. But what you need to know is that the median is this middle value of 8. I do not include these in my median. My median is what lies between them. Then let's find our minimum, which is easy to spot off, which is 2. I'm going to find my maximum, which when ordered is easy to spot, which is 14. I'm going to find my lower quartile, which is the median below the median. So this is my median. So I'm going to use the data, I'm going to cover up the median below it. So this 8 that's circled because it was in the middle is included when I'm counting off because it is not my median. It is a piece of data I used to find my median. I'll change colors so it's easier to see. So I cross out 8, 2, 3, 8. I have 4 and 6. So my lower quartile is 5. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my upper quartile. I'm going to look at above the median. The median is this middle value 8 that I found, so I cover up everything else. So this 8 is included when I count off. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 2 in the middle, so in the middle of them is 10.5. And what this does is it breaks our data into groups of 25. Quartile, quart, is 4. It breaks it into groups of 24, or 25%, 4 groups. So here's 25% of my data. Here's 25% of my data. Here's 25% of my data. And here is 25% of my data. So using that 5-number summary, 5 values, it breaks my data into chunks that I can then analyze. I can say that 50% of my data is below 8 because there's 2 groups. So 25%, 25%, 50% of the data is below 8. I can say that 25% of my data is above 10.5 because that's one group above it. The last thing that you might need to know is something called the inner quartile range, which is abbreviated sometimes as IQR, which is the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. So in this case, it would be 10.5 minus 5. So the inner quartile range for this data set would be 5.5. If it asked you just for the regular range of the data set, it would be the maximum minus the minimum.